Ba, 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 ba. Dinosaurs will always be awesome. Ba-da-doo. Hey everybody. Well, today was a really good dig day. I am completely wiped out. I don't think I've ever been quite this dirty, and I am just completely covered in all the stuff that was in that site. Now, thankfully, we had a really good day. If you saw my Instagram posts and some of the stuff in the story, you saw that we actually recovered a lot of really interesting material. A lot of turtle shells, a lot of pieces of our Mastodon with a tusk, and some really interesting things actually from bison and some from horses and alligator stuff as well. Now comes the fun part, because this is the first of several visits to this particular site, because we know there's just so much more in there and we weren't able to get all of it in the course of a single day. Now, I do want to give a big thanks to the Florida fossil hunters, and specifically my good friend Russell Brown, who was with us there today digging up some stuff. I'm here now back at my parents' house, because we were digging near Volusia County, and this is faster for me to take a load off before I go back to Orlando. But I want to show you some of the cool things that we found today. So let's take a closer look. Got my box of mysteries. So thankfully the homeowner we were working with today was good enough to let me borrow a few things to kind of take some closer analysis and take a little bit closer look. Check this out. This is one of the pieces of the Mastodon tusk that we found. Now this would be a piece that is on the inside of the tusk. Some of these were very massive, very conical shape, but what really gives them this very vivid color is if you take a look, you can actually see these striations, these very interesting cross-hatching patterns. Now those are natural. That's the way that these existed inside the original tusk and when the animal was alive. It's kind of like the dentine inside of teeth. And not quite sure how long this tusk was yet, because we haven't quite found enough of it to get a real consensus, but based on a few of the other parts like the humerus or the upper arm bone, some of the other animal pieces that we discovered, looks like this animal might have been about 20 to 25 years old. So that means that there may be a lot more tusk left over. The stuff you're looking at here is actually ivory. This is fossilized ivory because of the way that the teeth would actually, the tusk would actually grow out of the animal's skull. It's the same composition that you see in other modern day pachyderms and elephants and things like that. So this is a really cool piece. We also have this. Found a big chunk of petrified wood. This is something that we would actually use to kind of help date the age of the site where we were looking, to try and figure out how old was Kumquat and the rest of the animals that we found in this site. We have to do some digging and a little bit extra research to identify what kind of wood this is, but this piece of wood is completely solid. Here's another piece of the tusk. You can really see the clear changes in the cross-hatching pattern. These are gorgeous. Here's a little piece from the inside of the jaw. Now what's interesting about this is one of the first pieces that I actually found when we started digging at the site today. And there's a lot of different turns and divots and little spaces here. Look at this big gap. This would be an area where part of the tooth root would actually sit on the inside. This is a piece of the tooth. And so on the outside here we've got a little bit of our enamel, and you can actually see this is a where the tooth would actually start to wear down, and then this would be part of the root going down into the jaw of the animal. So this is part of a broken tooth of our Mastodon, and so this is a really interesting thing to show you exactly what's going on inside as well as outside of the animal. I'll do a little bit of preparation on this. We're going to clean this up, and we find more pieces. We'll glue everything back together. We should have a pretty good looking tooth. Last few pieces that we have right here. One of the other big stars of today's dig, we had little pieces of turtle shell. So as yet an unidentified turtle, but we had little pieces of the carapace, which is the top of a turtle shell, and the plastron, which is the bottom. So by looking at these two pieces, they actually fit together pretty snugly, and we'll actually be able to hopefully reconstruct the shell of the turtle and see if we can find out exactly how big it was and help to identify the species. But we had lots of little turtle pieces. Like this is another one. This is an area near the front of the plastron. So this is where the turtle's legs would come out the side, and the attachment point between the bottom, the plastron, and the top, the carapace. So this is one other piece of the turtle that we'd be able to put together, and hopefully we'll start that whole jigsaw puzzle later on. And there were lots of other big pieces that we were able to put together. These are just a few that I took back for some preparation and for some analysis. I'll be able to take a look at them and let you know exactly what we're looking at in just a little bit of time. But for right now, I'll pull these things safely back into my kit. Keep them all preserved and savable for later. I'm going to go and take a very well-deserved rest. And as for you, thank you so much for watching today. I really appreciate everything. One thing that I wanted to share with you guys is that why is it so common for us to find animals like mammoths and mastodons and horses and rhinos here in Florida of all places? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense for them to be here. Well, take a look at this. Florida did not always look the way we see it today. If you take a look right over here on the right side of the screen, you'll actually see this is what prehistoric Florida looked like about 10,000 years ago. And there's a line you can see drawing the actual outline of the state as we see it today, and then the extension of all the greenery and the extra wetland areas that would have been flowing out through all the different spaces. So we found that this particular specimen that we were working with today was in an area that was once a lot of greenery. There's a big waterway. So just like today, when you look in the wild, animals gather around water holes and places where the clean flowing water is. It's a good spot for predators to hang out to find their prey as well. And sometimes when an animal dies, it falls into the water, it can get washed away into the curves of riverbanks and things like that. So there's a lot more of the story to tell as to why this animal ended up where it did. But we're going to keep looking and discover as much more about this as we can by going over the bones and trying to piece together the story. But that is going to be for a later time. But for right now, I want to say thank you guys so much for watching. No matter what you do, where you're from, or how old you are, don't forget, dinosaurs will always be awesome.